Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is I Love You Say It Back. It's a podcast. We're back in studio. Turn me up. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you guys for joining us. Another episode, another Thursday of I Love You Say It Back. It's the podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Vic D. So glad you are spending your Thursday morning, your Thursday afternoon, whatever day that you're listening to. Hell, it could be your Friday, your Saturday, your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, any day of the week that you're listening. We definitely appreciate it. Want to thank you guys before anything for the amazing love that you gave the last episode. It was crazy. I felt that I was obviously in a good place to talk about it, and I felt more so that I wanted to have a place to have it. And if you know this about me, like I'm very hard and critical on myself and my work. This is the only thing on earth that I'm good at. So I'm critical about this. This is the only thing that I'm good at and that I care about. So when I feel like I don't do as good of a job, I'm critical on that, which is like 99% of the time. But I think that's where you get a lot of your good stuff. It's like if you keep trying to be better. But that one, I was actually really happy with the way it turned out. And considering the circumstances, the way he told the story, that everything was probably about as good as I could have hoped for. So thank you for the love on that. Thank you for listening. And I mean, the numbers went crazy. And dropping 2 episodes was just an incredible week. So thank you guys. Hoping to build some momentum that we got. You know, we had the train stop for 2 weeks or so, and I hate that. So getting that back up and going. Before we do, last episode, I was so out of practice, but basically I forgot to tell you to go check out our social medias at ICYDK Pod. I am at Vic D Radio. Please tune in. Please follow along. I know it's been a little quiet, but it all comes back to the last 3 or so weeks. And last week I didn't post the any clips of the podcast. I'll tell you this, it was one of the most amazing nights of my life. If you remember, last week was the peak, the name's escaping me, it was the meteor shower. It was like the best one of the year. I took off from here. I did the impossible. It was kind of stupid, but honestly, it kind of worked out perfectly because at the time that I went was the peak season, was the peak hours. So between 2, 4-ish a.m., it was absolutely stunning. Saw so many shooting stars, so many meteors, so many. I mean, it was just, if you geek out on that stuff, it's about as good as it gets up there. Went up to Pine Mountain. Well, not Pine Mountain. Went to Mount Pinos, which is really close to Pine Mountain. One of my favorite little towns in the world. Shh, don't tell anyone, that's our little secret. Less than an hour away from Bakersfield, and you could see these views. You're higher, so a lot of people don't know this, but you're actually higher than Denver. And Denver's known for their height, right? This Mile High City. We have a place here that's higher than that, and just nobody explores around Bakersfield. People know about that over there, but amazing night. That's why the clips didn't get put out. But you know what? It kind of was a good thing. I feel like it would force you to listen to the podcast. And I feel like a lot of people did. And thank you guys for that. Thank you for your feedback, your support, your love. But we're back and we're back on our BS. I got a fun episode for you. I want to talk to you guys about this barbecue. So occasionally when there's a fight night, and these are my favorite days. These are my favorite days of the entire year. By the way, if I look a little comfortable, I definitely unbuckled my pants and everything. It's been a crazy, hectic day. But going back to this. So barbecue days are my favorites, right? Just some of my favorite days. One, it's always around a fight. It's around a game. It's around something that's going to gather the boys, that's going to bring us together. The food is amazing. Shout out Joel. Shout out everyone who brought a dish, a plate, or whatever. Their names are escaping me. D-Lo was on the grill, doing the ribs, doing something. Everybody pitched in some way, shape, or form, but the food was incredible. Someone brought pulled pork, and it was just great. And if you've been in any of these barbecues, it was just a great time. But it was funny because I mean, by the end of the night, it's just amazing because what ends up happening is I'm more the guy who's in charge of the karaoke, the string lights, more so setting the vibe. It's funny at the casino they have a position. Shout out Tim, his name's Tim, but it's called the vibe manager. Vibe manager. That's a true real position. I feel like that's my role with these barbecue. I'm a vibe man. I make sure the vibe is right. Hey, you having a good time? I kind of treat it as I'm like the host, right? Like, hey, you having a good time? Making sure everybody's good. Hey, you need another plate of food? You need a shot? Hey, we're going to get the karaoke started here in 20 minutes. Get ready. Get your songs picked out. And here's what I've learned my role is also in these barbecues and these fun nights. My role is to be the guy who gets hated the most for being the first guy up on the karaoke machine. And I'm not doing it to be annoying, and I'm not doing it to be anything. Listen to because by the end of the night, I don't touch the mic. I didn't touch the mic the last 3-4 hours or whatever it was. But someone's got to get the karaoke started. My role is to be the guy who sucks so that everybody else feels comfortable to go jump up and be like, oh man, that guy's up there and he's singing, "Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in it?" And then if they're like, well, if he's doing it, I guess I can go sing, La Macarena or so. I don't know. But that's my role. Because by the end of the night, everybody else jumps in, rapping, singing. Folks, there was a string, and I tell you, there was a string of about 10, 15 songs that they were karaokeing. It was just like banger after banger after banger, nostalgia, modern, my boo, dilemma. I mean, I need to go back and look at the playlist because it was incredible. It was so good that I felt like we had a little spinning wheel. We're like, all right, if you're the person who it lands on, then you gotta. I was scared to be the next person up. I'd be like, damn, I'm about to play something. They're gonna hate me because there's been like 10 good songs in a row. There was pressure. And everybody seemed to deliver. It was just, the vibes were on point. One of my favorite barbecues, just a great night. I'm going to tell you this, because hell, it's my podcast. I can tell you anything I want. I don't go out and get trashed, like drunk. Like, I don't do that. I try to, like, don't get me, I don't do it as often, I guess. Let me rephrase that. Definitely don't do that as often. You try to protect yourself a little bit. When you do what I do, you do a podcast, you do events, you host this, you do that. You don't want to be that guy who's out there just sloshed, Back in my days, I used to enjoy the hell out of that. That was my favorite thing to do. Get the boys together. You go to Sports and Spirits. You spend $12 at Sports and Spirits, and then by the end of the night, you're trash. You're done. You are cooked. Don't do that quite as often. However, on these barbecue nights, it's like being at home. If I pass out, we're at my buddy's house. We're just like, all right, if I pass out, like I damn near got a bed there. Damn near got a whole room there. So it's comfortable, and I allow myself to, okay, I'm going to take a few extra shots. And that honestly feels good because I don't do it that frequently. And honestly, I kind of don't like, I'm not knock on wood. I've said this before, and so far so good. I don't get hangovers. We were up till like 4 or 5 in the morning for folks. I was, let's just say I had a few extra shots than I normally do. Woke up the next morning, had a baseball game. Bright and early. Hey, sunshine, good morning. I was up there, I was playing baseball. Played okay, So we still get things done. It's just nice to do it at home in the comfort of your own home or your buddy's home or a place where you can just crash out and be like, you know what? This is it. I'm going to take the extra shot, and this is going to be the end of my night. No pressure to leave, no pressure of nothing. So it's awesome. However, it got me and my buddy Joel. I brought this up to him a couple of days ago, and I was talking to him about, like, you know what? There was nothing that we were really missing, but there was a moment where we realized we needed an extra chest. He had a nice chest, and I was like, "Oh, I got one. I'll bring one." Let me take a little sip of my Lucas here. I got the little sweet Lucas. Chomoy. Oh, I haven't touched this stuff in years. Amazing. Fantastic. I'll take 14 of them. Back to this. So we realized, okay, we needed a nice chest. And then you're like, okay, that's kind of a big deal because those ice chests, it's a big deal. If you don't have it, where it's going to keep the drinks cold? We had to run out. People bring stuff and everything. So long story short, it got me thinking about the top 5 most underrated barbecue items. Hear me out. We had a barbecue this weekend. It was amazing. I'm not talking about the brisket, the meat, the drinks, the tequila. I'm not talking about that. That's not underrated. You guys know that those things matter and those things are prioritized. I'm talking about the top 5 things that kind of go under the radar. They're easy to forget because everybody thinks about the big stuff. Of course you got the meat. Of course you got the food. Of course you got the drinks. Of course you got the plates that you're going to serve it on, which also kind of could make it on this list. But I put together a list of the top 5 most underrated barbecue items and a couple honorable mentions. So it's been a while since we did a little power rankings, but after this weekend, it felt appropriate. So let's kick it off at number 5, water. Water. Everybody focuses on the alcohol. We got enough Michelob Ultras, okay? We got enough Dos Equis. We got enough tequila. We got enough whiskey. Because everybody knows if you show up to a party, what do people always say? They're like, well, I don't want to show up empty-handed. So what do they bring? They bring a Michelob. They bring some beer. They bring a bottle of something, right? No one says, I don't want to show up empty-handed with a 40-pack of Sam's Club waters, but you'd be a legend. Next time you do that, show up with a case of waters. I'm thinking waters is a little too low now. Got it all hyped up. Number 4, napkins. The food is delicious. The ribs are amazing. Until you're standing there all stupid, we're like, where are the napkins? And then you're taking up all your good napkins on that paper towel roll just because it's convenient. But bringing those little cheap napkins, the ones that you just kind of like leave on the big square stack, absolutely underrated. Napkins, so underrated. These top 3, oh my goodness. I need you to listen to me closely on number 2, but before we get to number 2, let's talk about enough chairs. Enough chairs. Tables can kind of go in there, but enough chairs is so crucial. Imagine you're just like, all right, we're going to move this party outside. It's going to be here. It's going to be there. You're pulling chairs. You're asking the neighbors. You got to have enough chairs because if not, then people are going to be standing around. Just creates awkward. People are going to be tired. They're like, you know what? I'm leaving. Enough chairs, so underrated. I need you to listen to me carefully with this one. Number 2 is huge. Number 2 is absolutely, absolutely huge. Hear me out. A unifying activity. Like something that is an activity that we do that's going to bring kind of the whole party together. Let me explain. I'm talking about this could be beer pong. This could be karaoke. This could be a card game. This could be a fight, a game. Like we need to make sure that what's the reason that we're here or what's the activity that we're doing. Cornhole could be a good one. But there's got to be something and someone that communicates to everyone, hey, coming up here at 9, we're going to be starting cornhole. Hey, in 20 minutes, we're going to start karaoke. Hey, and there, because imagine, just think about it. Like, hey, welcome everybody. The food is the star of the show. Yes, everybody's going to enjoy their food, but usually you tend to eat a little bit earlier. You're not leading up to the food. The food is the star of the show, and usually the food is one of the first things that you do before you start going into the heavy drinking. Then what comes after? If you want to keep this party going, if you want to keep this barbecue rocking and rolling, you're going to need that unifying activity. Bring the cornhole table. In my case, I love doing karaoke. And you know what? You love doing karaoke. Everybody loves doing karaoke. You just don't want to be the first to do karaoke. And I have no problem being the hated man who does it. So a unifying activity, if it's the game, if it's a fight night, the fight, everything. But unifying activity at number 2, very, very underrated. And number 1, this is the one that really started the whole list. The most underrated item at a barbecue, folks, the ice. What are you going to do without the ice? Ice chest, of course, they go hand in hand. But what are you going to do? You show up with your Michelob Ultras in Bakersfield heat. We're looking at 100 plus all week. Yeah, congratulations. Go ahead and sit down. The Michelob's right there in 20 minutes. There'll be soup. We're gonna be drinking out of a little spoon. You gotta have the ice. You gotta have the coolers. You gotta have the stuff to keep it cold, sweetheart. So there we go. A couple things. A couple honorable mentions. String lights are a big deal. String lights set the vibe anywhere. Some shade would be nice. Not the kind that you throw out, just some shade, like somewhere that is not sunny, especially during the, most barbecues like this happen during the summer. So finding some shade, nice little touch there. And look, I know a lot of you guys are thinking you got to have good music, but that's not underrated. Everybody knows that the music is important. Everybody knows that the beer is important. Everybody prioritizes these things. So that's what I mean. Like, it's easy to forget, like, oh, yeah, we got all the drinks. What? Are you going to drink them hot? Are you going to boil them in the Bakersfield heat? Nah, sweetheart. Bakersfield needs ice. Ice chest, number one answer. Honestly, I don't even know if it's that close. I can do it without a chair. I can do it without shade. I can do it without water. I'll drink out of the hose. I can do it without napkins. We'll figure something out, rub it on my leg. But ice. But I don't do hot drinks. And none of you guys do. No one does. No one likes hot beer. So, number one, there you go. If we missed anything, let us know. That was a fun one to put together. I want to talk about this because I've been talking about this to myself for literally years. In fact, I've brought my buddy Donnie into the picture because he's a big Marvel nerd, and I always tell him, the Spider-Man movie's out, and there's Avengers. I think it's Doomsday is going to be the next big one that comes out. And I've always told myself, because the movies that I've seen from Marvel, I love. I thoroughly enjoy. I love getting lost in that shit. I love getting lost in the sauce there. Spider-Man, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. I love all that. But I haven't seen any of the damn movies. I mean, I have, but not in any particular order or not in anything. And I always tell myself, I'm like, I'm going to book a weekend trip somewhere, maybe Pine Mountain. And then I'm just not going to leave the room because in Pine Mountain, there's nothing to do. And I'm just going to enjoy the cooler weather. I'm going to maybe golf for a couple hours. And then I'm going to go back to the room and I'm just going to watch all the Marvel movies that I need to watch. I've seen conflicting things where it says like, oh, you need about 300 hours. You should be good by Christmas or by the time that it comes out, blah, blah, blah. To me, it doesn't matter. Like I need to sit down and watch them. But the problem with me is that I can't sit down and watch anything. Nothing. I don't have the patience. I'm starting to think that I have ADHD. Eddie brought this up to me. He's like, you definitely have it. And I'm like, you know what? You might be right. You might be right. But oh boy, do I have anxiety every time a new movie comes out. Because Spider-Man comes out. Everybody's going to watch it. It's breaking box office numbers. And what am I doing? Can't watch it because I don't know what's happening. I haven't seen any other movies. Sitting there like a loser, twiddling his thumbs. You guys want to do karaoke at a barbecue? But I can't watch a Spider-Man movie. I want to tell myself I'm my own shut the fuck up of the week. Sheesh. But yeah, it gives me anxiety when they bring out more movies because I'm like, well, add 2 more hours to that because I haven't watched a single thing. And I've been saying this for years, about 5-6 years, solid years. And what's funny is that COVID would have been perfect. COVID would have been the absolute perfect time. Nobody's leaving. Everything's closed. No anxiety. And I didn't watch nothing but, what was it? It wasn't Love Island. It was the dating show on Netflix where it was like Love is Blind. Is that Love Island? Yeah, Love is Blind. I think that's what it was. Rotted my brain doing that a little bit. But all right, let's get into your fun facts. Your in case you didn't know. Oh my goodness. Did I only get 2 this week? I did, and I know exactly why. I'm gonna do 1 more. Hang on. Please bear with me. I'm gonna get right to you in just a second. I wrote down 2, but I know why I forgot to do the third one because I had to look it up on one of my friend's pages because she posted a great conversation about it, and I'm gonna give her credit for it right now. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Just give me one, anyone. Doesn't matter at this point. Thank you guys for being patient with me. Okay, let's get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are your fun facts. Your In Case You Didn't Knows. All right, let's kick it off with In case you didn't know, butterflies taste their food through tiny sensors on the bottom of their feet. In case you didn't know. That sounds disgusting. That's it. Like, just go ahead and eat this off my foot here. In case you didn't know, this is the one I just looked up. In case you didn't know, more people now live alone than any other time in recorded history. In case you didn't know. And finally, tonight, in case you didn't know, I have to give credit to my good friend Jessica Harrington, news anchor, morning anchor in Fresno, because they had this conversation on their morning show this morning, and it was a conversation about what you call the drawers on your fridge. You know, you open up the fridge where you put all the greens, maybe some cheese, those drawers at the bottom of your fridge. Do you know what they're called? Because they just told me this morning. They're called crispers. In case you didn't know. Yeah, I had no idea they were names. I just called them like, it's in the drawer, the big drawer, the skinny drawer, It's in the drawer. You know where the damn drawer is. You know what you're looking for. But yeah, in case you didn't know, they're called the crispers. I'm going to start using that. Can you fetch me the cheese from the crisper? Oh, you don't know what a crisper is? I remember when I was a peasant. All right, folks. R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere. And I know am I butchering her last name? I'm sorry. I apologize. Rest in peace. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know much about her. I know we love to do this when somebody passes. They're like, I was their biggest fan. And I was like, I knew her from Heroes, and there was a few other movies maybe that, and it's funny, I didn't even watch Heroes. My buddy was obsessed with Heroes. Another show, he's like, you need to watch it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch it. Here I am 20 years later, never watched it. But she was in Heroes, and I'm not going to speculate or talk about anything that's been going on. It's just crazy, these celebrity deaths where, especially when they're young, she was only like 36 years old. But it was like an apparent overdose. So shout out RIP. I know it's been getting a lot of buzz all over and people are talking about it. So just sad when anybody dies, especially when it's a public figure who still relatively young. It's one thing for Tommy Lasorda to pass away in his 80s, but Hayden Panettiere. I really got to learn how to say that name. I might have nailed it. I might have been way off. Let's get into your Wednesday wisdom. This was a fascinating one. And I really want to know what you guys think. I say that after all of them. I really want to know what you guys think on this one. Because I had a follow-up question to her question. All right, here we go. Wednesday wisdom. Vic, my boyfriend's best friend, and she put in parentheses, girl, texts him almost every morning or night. They've known each other long before I was in the picture, so I've allowed it to go on without making a fuss. But it's really starting to annoy me. I have best friends. I don't talk/text them every damn morning. Am I going crazy or is this normal? I don't know. Help. I'm trying to look at this from every angle, so any insight helps before I go crazy. Thanks. So my question to her was, how long have you guys been together? Because it sounds like they've known each other for a long time, and she said, oh my God, LMAO, this is so embarrassing. A little over a year. We moved in together in April, which is when I found out that they talk every day. Okay, well, now let's talk about it. Now we can talk about it every day for the next week. So basically, this guy has a girl best friend, and they communicate in some way, shape, or form every morning, every day, every night, whatever it is. And she's getting uncomfortable with it. Let me start here. I come at this from a very sensitive angle because two of my best friends are girls. Shout out Kristen, shout out Bianca. Like growing up, I feel like, Kristen lived down the street from me. Bianca was one of my friends growing up. We did the radio show. We did the Try the Line for for the radio station, and that was a huge hit. Like there's the people that you grew up. So let me just start by saying, because I feel like part of your question is it okay for my friend to have a girlfriend? And if you ask me, I'm going to say 100 out of 100 times yes. It is possible for men and women to be friends, and I don't see anything weird on it, because I do believe that it can happen. Producer Eric brought it up a long time ago. There has to be something. There has to be an imbalance. There has to be a keeper of the friendship. In other words, there has to be one person that is not allowing it to go past the friendship for whatever reason. Maybe you are that reason. So that's a good start there. Yeah, every day, every morning is pretty damn crazy. So let me back up by saying it's okay for him to have this friend. There's nothing wrong. I believe in male-female platonic relationships to my core. I have two of my best friends, like I said. But we don't communicate every day. We don't talk every day. Every morning, every night. I fight the urge to say, yeah, I mean, I see some red flags, because I don't know quite the nature and the extent of their relationship. But because I'm such a firm believer in the closeness of a relationship, it does raise a couple red flags with their texting every day. I have best friends. Actually, I do talk to like couple guys every single day. To these girls, they've got their own lives. Kristen has her own family. She's got kids. So does Bianca. But when we communicate, it's not like we pick up right where we left off. You don't need to catch up. We don't need to, hey, have you been? What's new? We don't need it. We just pick up, starting talking shit. So I think what they're talking about is going to matter. As silly as it sounds, you're not going to want to hear this. But what they're talking about and what they're communicating does matter. It plays into, and I wish we had more details about their relationship. That's the only thing that kind of handcuffs you. But I'm fighting the urge to say, yeah, it's a red flag. Every day is crazy. Two of my female best friends, I communicate, amazing communications. It's not every single day. And I'm as close to them as anybody. I almost said boyfriends. I guess they are my boyfriends, my buddies, my boys that we're going out to Nashville with. Maybe one or two I communicate with every single day. All the other ones, we don't need to really catch up every day. We talk shit through memes. Me and Pre got this heated thing going on right now on Instagram. It's just memes talking shit back and forth. But what is the nature of the conversations? What could you possibly be talking to someone every morning, every night? That's my only question. And it's hard for you to really figure that out unless you start to be like, let me see your phone. I don't want to go down that road either. I got you, boss. But I think you should ask. Like, I think it is fair to ask, like, hey, what do y'all talk about? Every day is kind of crazy. And I do have a sensitive spot for these platonic male-female friendships. I will always believe in them. But I think you should find out what they're talking about. Hey, but bring it up casually. Don't be like, so what do you guys even talk about every day? Like, it's more of like, what, I mean, I don't even know what tone to use, but like, what do you guys talk about every day? That is kind of crazy. You have your girlfriends, and I'm sure you guys don't communicate every single day. But that doesn't mean that the friendship, you don't need to talk every day to keep a friendship going. I do think that part is a little bit weird. That's your Wednesday wisdom. Victy has spoken. But you guys have only been together a year. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to really be definitive on. Because I see all angles, right? That's kind of my job on this. It's a great question, by the way. I can't wait to see what our listeners say. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with our Street Pub trivia question. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. I'm going to hit one of these and it's going to be way off. Watch. Okay, I'll use that one. Watch this. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. I got to get a breaking news thing. But Ice Street Pub Trivia Night is moving to Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. We're still going to be doing trivia. We're still going to be doing the Family Feud style trivia every Tuesday at Ice Street Pub right there inside of Rooster's Honky Tonk. Just go all the way to the back. It's right there. Super excited to be hosting it. So the Ice Street Pub Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. Here we go. 30% of Americans consider it rude to ask this during a visit. 30% of Americans consider it rude to ask this during a visit. In other words, if you go to somebody else's house or somebody comes to your house, it's rude if they ask this. I'll tell you one that's not the answer, but I would consider it rude. But I also kind of see it polite. I'll wait till after. 30%, here we go. Answer, you know the drill. If you need me to pause, if you need more time, pause me. If not, here we go. 30% of Americans consider it rude to ask this during a visit. To change the channel. What do you mean you don't like my Lifetime movies? What do you mean you want to take it off of the game? If you come into my house and then you're saying, can we change the channel? See you later. But yeah, 30% of Americans consider it rude to come over and ask to change the channel. Folks, that's going to do it for our show. Planning for Nashville it's been busy, it's been hectic, but it's every single year that it's like this. By the way, if you're just joining us, you didn't listen to last episode, I got me a little something. Listen, I'm getting ready for this. Ready? Check this out. By the way, my hair is growing like crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Nashville. How you doing? I'm going to do the rest of the podcast like this, and I'm going to talk like this. We going to act like this. We going to dance like this, and I guess I got to listen to country music and work on my little twang a little bit, my little Southern hospitality guy. Hey, how you doing, ma'am? How you doing? Got to work on that. Wearing a cowboy hat right now, but yeah, heading to Nashville. Can't wait for the trip. And this happens every single year where it's like, I can't wait for the trip. I'm excited for the trip, but I'm also looking forward to the after trip, because leading up to this, like, man, anybody puts things together for any group, appreciate them, love them. It is stressful because you want to make it a good experience for everybody, but then that puts pressure on you. You're like, well, is this good enough? Is this better? Should I do this? Should I do that? But super excited for it. You can follow along. There's going to be we're bringing a cameraman this year, and I'm super excited. So you follow along at our socials at ICYDK. I am at VicT Radio. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to check out the previous episodes. Got real intimate and deep about everything going on with my dad, and super proud of that episode. Gonna look back on that one day with my kids or something, my grandkids, and be like, hey, check this out. But follow us on our socials at ICYDK. I'm at VicT Radio. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening, hit that subscribe button. Y'all have a great night. Sleep good. Que sueñen con los angelitos. Peace. I love you. Say it back. Good night.